things that this country stood for, and where there was no other country in the world that was like this. Looking back at the people that fought against slavery and fought during the Revolutionary War and the basic tenets of what this country was founded on, I just felt like I needed to honor their sacrifice and what I believed in to serve my country. I grew up in Northern California. I was born in the LA area, moved up there when I was like in 6th grade. Went to high school, Air Force ROTC. I always struggled in school. So when I was just started out my junior year of high school, I was behind. A lot of people always felt that it was because I just wasn't studying hard enough, working hard enough, and I kept telling people, no, something's not right. And it turned out that I'm dyslexic. They didn't view dyslexia as a learning disability, so I couldn't get any extra help. So they let me quit school. I'd actually completed the whole ROTC program before I left. And one of my good friends was graduating that summer, and he was like, hey, I'm going to the Navy, why don't you go with me? And I was like, well, that's not the Air Force. And he says, yeah, but submarines are cool. I'm gonna go in submarines. And I thought, okay, well, let me think about it. I decided to go in submarines as what they call a quartermaster. A Navy quartermaster is a navigator. A lot of people think it's supply, like in the Army and that, but no. So I would have to learn navigation and all that stuff. First place I was stationed was in Charleston, South Carolina, on a diesel submarine called the Bonefish. We had a major accident in 1988 right after I re-enlisted. We were operating with the carrier group, the John F. Kennedy carrier group off the coast of Florida. There was an issue with the electrical system. So when they went to look at it, they saw that there was smoke. The fire burst into like a raging fire. The guys kept trying to still control the fire, but we couldn't control it. And by that time we were on the surface. We were ordered to go topside so that we could be basically rescued off the boat. Because of where I worked in the control room, the fire was in the hull insulation and coming up on the outer walls. When the flames kind of licked out of the holes in the wall, you could feel it. When it was time for us to leave, we went to go up. There's a hatch in the control room that you can go up. Well, we had these masks on, they're called EABs, and allows us to breathe clean air. The hose comes down to a regulator, and then you have another hose that plugs into the air system. So this regulator clips to your belt, and the design of the clip had a little curve on it. And so I started to go up, and then I got stopped, and I forgot, oh, I gotta get this off. I couldn't get it off. I pulled and pulled and pulled, and in the meantime, I'm breathing in this just nasty black. You could feel the smoke. It was so thick. I just decided I'm just gonna pull. If it pulls my pants off, so what? It's either that or die. And so I just did everything I could. I was hanging on that ladder, and I just pulled really hard, and it popped off. But when all that happened and it broke loose, I hit the back of my head and the top part of my spine on the hatch ring. Unfortunately, through everything, we had 3 crew members that didn't make it out. There was an officer and then 2 enlisted guys. The lieutenant actually was in the control room where I was, because I was on duty at the time. So he was about 8 feet from me when he died, and he died from smoke inhalation. And then 22 crew members were injured badly enough where they had to spend some time in the hospital. They sealed up the boat because it was still burning and just watched it bobble, bob there in the water for a couple days. They say that they could actually see the hull of the boat with a slight glow from the heat at nighttime, because it took a few days for it to go out. When they brought the boat in, we had to go down and clean up everything. We had to get the classified materials off. And so we were able to get stuff out of our bunks. So I went from the bonefish to the blueback in San Diego. Essentially, that ended my Navy career. So I had to leave the Navy, that was in 1989, and went back home to Northern California. I just worked a lot of odd jobs, met my wife and got married in 1990. I started volunteering at the OMSI Museum in Portland. A lot of people aren't aware, but the Portland OMSI Museum has a diesel-electric submarine that they have on display called the Blueback. So the Blueback was actually my second submarine. And that's why I drive 4 hours each way a couple times a month to go give tours on the Blueback. I really enjoy that. Most submariners today know about the bonefish incident because they talk about it when you go to submarine school, and they talk about some of the changes that were made from the lessons they learned from that fire. And that's all I need to know. The 3 guys that died, the people that have died from, lung diseases or injuries or whatever since then, their sacrifices, they weren't in vain.